When the trailer video for the sequel to Breath of the Wild was released, the response from the gaming community was resounding. Many people online, including me, quickly noticed that this mummy was most likely the corpse of Hyrule's eternal antagonist, Ganondorf. The evidence definitely supports this. The red hair, the Gerudo symbols, the shadow that looks like Ganondorf, the pronounced canine teeth like we see in the Twilight Princess iteration, the jewel on the forehead, and the malice flowing out of the corpse's body, which became synonymous with Calamity Ganon in Breath of the Wild. But there are some peculiar details that are hard to ignore, and they are important enough to consider before we fully commit to this being Ganondorf. The corpse has long flowing hair, which is not really a trait that is synonymous with Ganondorf. It appears to be wearing gold bracelets, similar to those seen on the Sheikah monks from Breath of the Wild. And finally, it is also lacking a beard, a trait that all renditions of Ganondorf possess. In fact, his beard gets longer throughout the ages. In Ocarina of Time, he has mutton chops. In Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, the beard goes all the way around his jawline. And then in Breath of the Wild, the Calamity Ganon we fight at the end of the game has gone full-on mountain man with a humongous red mane. It should also be noted that the Calamity Ganon on Impa's tapestry also appears to have a beard, and I can't tell if the one on the wall painting in the trailer does or not. Many people took the long flowing hair and lack of beard to mean the corpse's demise from Skyward Sword, who had long red hair and no beard. But Demise's hair wasn't really hair, it was some kind of red flames or energy. Also, more importantly, Demise existed prior to the Gerudo tribe, so it wouldn't really make sense for his corpse to adorn the Gerudo emblem. Unless for some reason somebody put them on the corpse after the fact. That would be sort of fitting for the mummy motif because, for instance, the ancient Egyptians were known to do this for their dead. But none of that matters. Here's why. Demise was defeated in another realm and then sealed within the Master Sword at the end of Skyward Sword. Therefore, if his body was still intact, then it wouldn't exist in Hyrule. Another theory that people have to explain the hair is that this corpse is Ganondorf, but it is some younger version of him that we've never seen in a Zelda game. This would necessitate a new Ganondorf being born after the one we see in Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess. It could be the new Gerudo from Four Swords Adventures, but we never see that iteration's Gerudo form, so we can't say if it is him or not. Also, it should be noted that there are Ganondorfs in Hyrule Warriors and Cadence of Hyrule. However, their plots have not been canonized, so we can't really consider them for now. But none of that matters anyway, because there is strong evidence that the Ocarina of Time Ganondorf became the Calamity Ganon. Here's why. In the Breath of the Wild Masterworks book, within the description of the history of the Gerudo, it says the following, and I apologize for how long this passage is, but nearly every line matters. The Gerudo are a clan where only women are born. There is a rule forbidding men from entering Gerudo Town on the belief that men only bring disaster. However, long ago, a male child was born once every 100 years and, by their custom, he was named their king. According to the fairy tale, Calamity Ganon was once, originally, a Gerudo. This man named Ganondorf was once their leader, but he became the Demon King and tried to take Hyrule for himself. However, his ambitions were crushed by a hero who carried the blade of evil's bane. Although he transformed into the demonic beast Ganon through his runaway power, he was sealed away by the princess and the sages. Through his resentment towards the hero and the princess, and after countless revivals and sealings, the Demon King Ganon transformed into malice and has haunted Hyrule itself. Whereas that generation saw the birth of the Demon King, another of the Gerudo also became a sage who saved Hyrule. Her name was Nabooru. Divine beast Nabooru was named in her honor, and both the present chief Riju and the late champion Urbosa hold great admiration for this legendary Gerudo figure. According to Gerudo records, and since the appearance of the Gerudo king who transformed into Calamity, no records remain which show a man as their leader, and the Gerudo of long ago once had a different ear shape than those present now, being instead rounded in appearance. Although it is widely believed that this is due to the practice of the Vo hunt, it's been passed down in the fairy tales that, Because of the deep shame we bear as the source of Calamity Ganon in ancient times, the shape of our ears became the same as those who listened carefully to the voices of Hyrule's gods, too. It should be noted for that excerpt, I used a translation from the original Japanese. The official English publication varies slightly. Anyway, so you see, when they say that the Gerudo king who was sealed by the princess and the sages after fighting the hero wielding the Master Sword, who then later becomes the Calamity Ganon, they are saying that the Ocarina of Time Ganondorf eventually became Calamity Ganon. There weren't any new Gerudo kings after that Ganondorf. I should quickly note that the Ganondorf from Four Swords Adventures is never king of the Gerudo. They actually outright reject him. And the rounded ears thing makes it even more interesting, because the corpse from the trailer has rounded ears, further solidifying that it originates from the era before that Ganondorf brought shame upon the Gerudo. Any Gerudo born after would have pointed ears, as we see on the Gerudo in Breath of the Wild. But if the corpse is Ganondorf from that era, why is it lacking so many of his traits? Perhaps the answer is that it isn't Ganondorf at all, but it is actually a female Gerudo, even a famous one, such as Nabooru, the legendary Gerudo female leader who defied Ganondorf and was cursed by Twinrova for her betrayal. This theory only works if Breath of the Wild falls in the child timeline. In the other two timelines, Link saves Nabooru and she becomes a sage. Therefore, her body would not still exist in Hyrule. It would be in the Sacred Realm with the other sages. It would mean Link was too busy in the child timeline preparing for the invasion of Ganondorf upon Hyrule to save Nabooru from Twinrova, and she in fact perished in the Spirit Temple from their curse. This trailer could in fact be taking place in the Spirit Temple, and that hand could represent Twinrova's curse. As for the story about the princess and the sages sealing the Gerudo king after fighting the hero, an event that doesn't exist in the child timeline, it could still be a legend known throughout Hyrule because the child timeline Link retains all his memories and inform the Hyruleans of what occurs in the adult timeline, making the legend just that, a legend, as opposed to something that actually occurred. In the cutscenes in Breath of the Wild, Nabooru is never called a sage. She is only referred to as legendary, and as Ganondorf's second in command, she was certainly legendary, sage or not. It would also mean her pointed teeth are the result of Twinrova's curse. Also, as many theorists have pointed out to me, the corpse is way too scantily clad to be a woman in a Nintendo game. That is a great point, but I would like to point out the Great Fairy from Twilight Princess. It doesn't get much more risque than that. It's a long shot theory for sure, especially since the genesis of it is a missing beard. But the change in appearance is just too strange to ignore. If I'm wrong and the corpse is in fact Ganondorf, then I have to believe there is some form of time travel at play. Perhaps the corpse looks like a younger Ganondorf because someone, like the Yiga clan, got a hold of Purra's anti-aging rune. We know from her diary she built it to reverse aging, so that long-gone warriors could be brought back to continue to fight for Hyrule, thus strengthening the realm's defenses against the Calamity. What would happen if that rune fell into the wrong hands? What if someone tried to use it on the corpse of Ganondorf? Would it reverse the age of the corpse just enough to bring him back? One thing is for sure is that the sequel to Breath of the Wild is going to be a Zelda theorist's dream. Thanks for watching my theory video. Please subscribe and follow me on Twitter at nerdific_.com. I want to thank everybody at the TGL Medora Discord channel for answering tons of questions I had about Zelda lore in order to make this video. Please consider following them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Until next time.